Member for Chilliwack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, known today as the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. I'd also like to acknowledge my friend and colleague, the member from Abbotsford Mission, who's participating virtually today. Welcome back. So good to see you. So, Mr. Speaker, employment is one important way that people with disabilities participate fully in their communities. But people with disabilities continue to face some of the highest rates of unemployment because they are often unable to find work due to discrimination, negative perceptions of their abilities, and a lack of workplace accommodations. There are over 926,000 British Columbians over the age of 15 that have a disability. People with disabilities represent an important employee talent pool that is largely untapped. The COVID-19 pandemic has showed us the types of workplace accommodations like flexible hours, modified workstations, and new technology that can be made available for employees to support their success. It's also shown us that people with disabilities are disproportionately impacted. A just economic recovery must include people with disabilities. As Parliamentary Secretary for Accessibility, it's my job to promote and encourage accessibility, but it's also a personal passion. I've used a wheelchair for 21 years now, and I know that building a barrier-free BC is in the best interests of all of us. I was lucky to have access to resources and be supported to retrain following my accident, and I'm thrilled to have had the opportunities that I've had, and I know how important it is that employers are inclusive. As we all know, we passed the Accessible British Columbia Act in June of this year. This legislation will help us identify, remove, and prevent barriers to accessibility in a range of areas, including employment. The development of this legislation was a result of collaboration and teamwork. It was drafted based on the principle of nothing about us without us, which, if you aren't familiar with, means that people with disabilities play a direct role in shaping the Act and will continue to play a role in developing future accessibility standards. One thing we heard from folks with disabilities is that government should lead the way, and the government is doing just that. Recently, I had the honor of speaking to a cohort in the WorkAble program during their orientation week. WorkAble is a 12-month paid internship opportunity for recent, within 3 years, post-secondary graduates who self-identify as having a disability. The program objectives include increasing capacity of hiring managers and mentors to support and coach employees with disabilities, gaining better understanding of available accommodation supports in the workplace, identifying clear pathways for hiring employees with disabilities, informing best practices for recruitment and retention for employees with disabilities, accessing an underutilized labor employee pool. The interns started in their respective ministries September 7th, 2021. They finished their internship August 31st, 2022. It's critical that we work to continue making our workplaces in government more accessible and inclusive, and the WorkAble program is an important part of that goal. So I was excited to learn about the WorkAble program and the opportunity it provides people with disabilities to gain experience working in the BC Public Service. Another program that the government rolled out was the Work Experience Opportunity Grant. The Work Experience Opportunities Grant program was focused on helping vulnerable British Columbians impacted by COVID-19. Funding supported a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive post-pandemic labor market recovery by providing opportunities for individuals to increase their ability to participate in the labor market. Grants were provided to eligible businesses and organizations to provide 12 weeks of work experience throughout the province. As a first step in supporting the business community, we also provided $4.8 million to Small Business BC to administer a new grant program to help small businesses make their workplaces more accessible. September was Disability Employment Month in BC, and October is National Disability Employment Month. During Disability Employment Month, we get to celebrate inclusive employers while also highlighting the contributions people with disabilities bring to organizations across BC. Every year, Disability Employment Month reinforces our commitment to a more diverse and inclusive public service that better reflects the diversity of British Columbia. This means dedicating the resources and tools required to build a public service that is inclusive of all persons of all abilities and that provides everyone with the supports and opportunities to be their best. This is why it has been and will continue to be so important for us to engage directly with people with disabilities, their support networks and advocates, as well as businesses, organizations, and communities, so that we can build strong, supportive relationships as we all work together to create a BC that is truly accessible and inclusive. One of those strong, supportive relationships we formed is with the President's Group, who describe themselves as such. Formed in 2013, the President's Group is a network of 25 change-driven BC business leaders who are champions for more accessible, inclusive workplaces. Leaders of businesses of all different sizes and sectors and business models are represented, in nearly 60,000 British Columbians are employed at the President's Group's 25 member organizations. Some of these businesses include the Port of Vancouver, YVR, Van City, TransLink, and there's also smaller businesses like Save On Meats and Tacofino. The group plays an advisory role to BC's Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction and meets quarterly to share best practices amongst one another. Each member organization assigns one or more staff members, usually in HR or diversity and inclusion roles specifically, to the community of practice. This quarterly meeting allows these internal champions to meet and dig into projects, resource development, and support for one another. I will end my 7 minutes there and invite whoever is going to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Member.